Everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today, I'm sharing an extraordinary story that will truly make you think about life and what might lie beyond. It's the near-death experience of Emma when she almost died while in a comatic state, and it's a story that's both deeply personal and incredibly powerful. Let's dive in and explore what Emma saw, felt, and learned when she crossed over to the other side and came back to tell the tale.
In 2015, I was in a coma, on ECMO, life support. I was given last rites, and my family was told to let me go as doctors said they had done all they could. I was near death 2 to 3 times. A prayer blanket was laid on me after my head was shaved and my brain was scanned for activity. The prognosis was, if I lived, would probably be in a vegetative state, but that living probably would not happen as I had less than 1% chance of living. My carbon dioxide level was over 200, normal is 20 to 30. This was almost complete carbon dioxide in my lungs, and the brain has no oxygen to survive. My blood was poisoning me. September 26, 2015 was one of my weekends to die. Family and friends came in from all over the world to continue prayers, but realistically to say goodbye. More than once they were called. My daughter kept telling everyone I would live, which was treated as a faithful delusion. I dimensionally traveled, saw life and the world from other perspectives, and my senses have been heightened. I did not have the typical near-death experience. I am pretty logical, scientific, and I am always asking about the whys of things, more so before my NDE. I did not talk about the details much about what I experienced because it was an astronomically different experience and it took me a while to process. I also tried, a bit too much at times, to analyze certain things I experienced because it was hard even for me to believe, even though I think I am a fairly open person, to a degree. I was intimidated about sharing details with traditionally minded friends and family, as I had some traditional views as well, though not all traditional, so I wanted to make sure I had thoroughly analyzed my experience. Now I feel ridiculous about my lack of freedom of expression about it. I realized this was part of the control I had to let go of. It wasn't until I read PMH Atwater's book, We Live Forever, and saw a documentary on Netflix about NDEs called Surviving Death, that I realized my experience wasn't odd. I left my body and saw the room I was in when I was being prepped for something and heard the doctor's conversation about how I wasn't going to make it. I tried reprimanding them and talking to them about their comments, but they couldn't hear me. I traveled to space and to alternate timelines and dimensions. I did a lot of traveling. I did not see my body when I went into outer space. I just saw from a first-person perspective. I traveled to another planet and saw a different alien species. I did see my body there. It was deformed, like a person with a disabling disease. I heard from my guide, which was a voice I heard but I couldn't see who it was, that I was deformed there because it wasn't my planet or species. I also heard that life is a series of experiences and perspectives, and that nothing is a mistake. I was placed in a lily and saw, from a first-hand viewpoint, that plant's perspective, as though I was the plant. I was placed in a fish tank as a fish and saw the viewpoint of the fish, yet could not see my own body in these transitions but had awareness of myself. I had a lot of questions about things going on behind the scenes in this world, Earth. I was shown some things going on in the world that are not as much in the news, but based on things that I questioned about the world's issues. For example, kids and women that are disappearing, etc. It was like I was shown the backroom of the issues of the world that I had questioned, and it made me feel like the world was an awful place that I did not want any part of and did not want to idolize. You had to be there to understand what I mean. That is my attempt at a joke about it. When I came back to this place, I used humor as a coping mechanism but also as a buffer to my heightened emotions to try to minimize the intensity of my experience. When I came back, I was so over the world and felt like everyone was ridiculous and too serious about everything. I had seen the Earth culture's back room, got my questions answered, and was not a fan. I think one of my guides manifested as my daughter to keep me anchored to the world, or I may not have come back. I had no concept of time, but everything seemed to happen all at once, like there was no time, and I could not tell if things were fast or slow. It's hard to explain that part because my mind is acclimated to time and order. I received messages, prophetic images, and also received answers about my life and how I related to the world. I predicted Trump would win, though I did not know he was running while in coma. I only found out once I awoke. I'm not a Trump fan. For your information, I predicted the study of trees having consciousness, Kim Jong-un and North Korea settling down and trying to be a more friendly nation before erupting again, just to name a few. Trees are conscious and are actually an intelligent species. We can learn a lot from them, and they take care of us in several ways. Experiments are going to start to be done on them to prove their consciousness, and the goal of those experiments will be to extract information. I hope these experiments will be made public information, but you know how those things go in the world. Either way, we will hear about it. I saw a light brighter than any I have ever seen. The closest comparable light on Earth is from the sun. But the non-traditional, shocking part to me, now, not then, is that I instinctively put my hand out and a silver sphere appeared. From it rose out a hologram of the typical image of Jesus Christ. I held it in my hand while this light emanated. I felt at peace and had no particular feeling like surprise or curiosity. It was like I just was. There was a voice that beckoned that the experience was over and that I was going back, even though I didn't have any concept that I had left, because it was so sudden. Then, the light all of a sudden pulled back, and that was it. I think this was the time my vitals improved overnight by 50% because I was switched to an oscillator, instead of a ventilator. After that, I believe I was partially conscious because I remember certain things that were obviously loopy states, with awareness of my surroundings. I believe I was shown an image of Jesus because, as a formerly traditional, now non-traditional Christian, I believed in him and admired him as a historical figure, comforter, truth teller, etc., and believed in his existence and mission from a soul perspective and not so much a traditional religious perspective. On the other side, people come forward as comfort and support, but they aren't necessarily in the image of their actual souls. For example, your grandmother who died may not still look like how she left you, but if you are dying, she may manifest in the image you are used to bring you comfort, ease, and familiarity through the transition. I now believe that everyone who has an NDE has different experiences because, based on what I learned, we are all interconnected but experiencing different ways and forms of life, according to what we came here to learn this time around. PMH Atwater's book and the Netflix documentary helped me to understand that there are others who don't see the typical tunnel, angels in robes and grassy fields.
I hope this story has resonated with you as much as it did with me. If it did, be sure to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, experiences, or any questions you might have. And if you found this video meaningful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Until next time, take care and stay curious.